5 drivers take on Las Vegas Motor Speedway for a chance to win a championship here tonight for the Ohio Sim Racing Xfinity Series here on Turn 1. 8 cars here tonight at Vegas. 5 drivers have a chance to walk away with the crown here. Hello, everybody. I'm Sean Fitz. Thanks so much for tuning in. Glad you're with us. We're going to be Xfinity racing here for 100 laps around Vegas. Lane Hoser going to start P1. Ryan Pelfrey P2. Steve Whitmore, Aaron Jackson, Derek Grigsby, your top 5. Then it's Russ Despain, Brian Toria, Brad Lee, rounding out the rest of the field. It is going to be an interesting night. Smaller field means fewer cautions, means a lot of green flag action from start to finish here tonight on Turn 1. Getting ready to go green here at Vegas and wrapping up an OSR Xfinity Series season here in just 100 laps down to the start zone. They're going to see the flag man. The green flag is out. We're championship racing in Las Vegas. Down into 1 and 2. Hoser's going to hold on right to the very bottom there. Pelfrey. No pressure out back by Whitmore. He's going to fall right in line. We're going to pay close attention to this battle as Pelfrey's going to dive down to the inside. He's going to take that lead early. Ryan Pelfrey is going to lead coming out of 3 and 4. One of those drivers battling for this championship. Ryan Pelfrey leads lap number 1. Taking a look a little further back, Whitmore, Despain, Aaron Jackson, they're side by side. Despain's going to squeeze by, move up to that 4th place spot. Jackson's going to slide back to 5th. Aaron's going to look to the outside, now back down to the inside. It's going to be a drag race down here into the entry of Turn 3. Jackson right down to the bottom of the racetrack. Ryan just about half a lane above that white line. He is going to keep it or stay in that 5th place spot as we go back up front. Pelfrey and Lane Hosler side by side. We're getting side by side down the front stretch, but Hosler falling back in line, but he's going to exit just a little higher here than Pelfrey. This is going to put these two right in lockstep as they work down into 3 and 4, and Whitmore is right there as well. He's going to slide up the racetrack a little bit. That's going to open up the corner exit for him. He's going to then have the ability to move down here to the very bottom of the racetrack. We'll see a couple drivers, including Aaron Jackson, head right down to that flat apron several times here tonight just to get as much pace and as much speed down this Las Vegas front stretch as possible. Hosler out front. Now looking outside of Pelfrey as they work through 3 and 4. It's going to be a drag race. Hoser's going to have the late straightaway speed here, the late tri-oval speed. It is a dead heat as they come down into 1 and 2. And not only, again, is this a battle for the race lead, but this is a battle for the championship. This long OSR Xfinity season coming to a close right here tonight, and Hoser's going to look outside, build up that RPM in the car, and it worked to complete that pass on Pelfrey. As he's going to firmly take the lead here, lap number 4 now. This is all going to be about tire conservation, and we saw that last week as Whitmore slides up the track in front of Despain a little bit there in 1. But these drivers know that it's going to be a lot of green flag action here tonight. Not a lot of cars on track, so not a lot of opportunity for caution to come out. So they're going to have to think about that and what that could mean to their strategy and their pit strategy and keeping their tire underneath them as Hoser now out front by 5 car lengths. And Pelfrey, he's feeling a little bit of pressure. That's Whitmore on the outside. Steve coming on strong here so far tonight. I was actually talking to him pre-race, and he knew that it was probably going to be the late Hosler night unless Ryan Pelfrey get up there and stink it up a little bit. Well, Steve Whitmore is trying to do the same. He's going to run all the way to the back bumper here of the 61 as they work down this front stretch. But as I was talking about a little while ago, you got to think this through in terms of tire wear. You know it's going to be a longer green flag run. How much tire do you want to save now versus later? And, well, Pelfrey's followed back just a little bit. Hosler's been known to be able to really save some tire, as Whitmore is going to come out front here and get around the 61. Steve Whitmore is going to lead a lap here in the season finale in Vegas. Still a little congested back here. That's Derek Grigsby looking just to the outside of Aaron Jackson. I would consider Derek one of those long shots. Same with Jackson. Certainly not the fastest car in the field each and every week, but has an opportunity to come in here and put down some laps and put themselves in a unique position to win. And that's essentially what you're going to have to do here to bring home the championship. Is Jackson now sitting outside of Russ Despain as they work through 1 and 2. Whitmore still leading out front. You're not missing anything there. This is going to be the battle. Pelfrey sitting in that third place position as they work to come down into 3 and 4 here. Jackson looking for a way around this 33 machine of Pelfrey. Pelfrey's going to move up, block the run, but Jackson's going to continue to drive forward here, looking for any advantage he could get, and you've got to go where everybody else is it. Now Despain's going to be blocked a little bit there, right on the very bottom. Jackson's going to leverage the high side. That's going to allow him to have some speed here on corner exit, set up a perfect run, and Aaron Jackson's going to get that third spot away from Ryan Pelfrey. Speaking of Russ Despain, let's ride on board with the driver of the 50 here as he works these early laps at Vegas and see what the experience is for some of these drivers wrapping up this season here at OSR. Steve Whitmore continues to lead as they come across the stripe here to take lap 15 for the championship race for the OSR Xfinity Series here on turn 1. Hosler sitting P2 right now. Aaron Jackson P3. You heard that right front screaming as he head off into 3 and 4. That is going to be a factor here, and lap times are starting to reflect some tire wear. Last time by, or the best time rather, is a 30.73. Last time by for Steve Whitmore, a 31.25, and he was the fastest in the field. So lap time's already about a half a second to 3/4 of a second off the pace of the best lap time. So that'll be definitely something to keep in mind. But Whitmore, he's out front right now looking pretty good, holding a nice wheel in that 70 car. Lane Holzer sitting P2 and just doing his thing, but Aaron Jackson it is pretty hectic back here around that 5th place spot. That's Despain and Grigsby. They're side by side, working laps number 17 off into turn 1 and 2. Despain's going to take that high line. Got a big run through the corner, or the middle of the corner. Going to launch off. Now going to be tight to the bumper of Ryan Pelfrey, but really nowhere to go. Pelfrey goes down. Aaron Jackson rides that second lane up. That takes aero off the car. You you lose the aero quite a bit with the car in front of you taking the air off of the nose. You lose a little bit of downforce. Car tends to get a little tighter. And here in Vegas, this track's fairly wide. It's pretty lengthy, especially this long Nellis backstretch here. And an opportunity is afoot for everybody to be able to come down this backstretch and gather a little bit of draft, especially if you get a great run off of turn 2. Drafting here is certainly part of the equation. It is single filed out here from third on back, and Steve Whitmore continues to put down some lap times that are fairly consistent, but this last time by, that second place driver Lane Hoser was about a 10th faster that lap. Whitmore leading here tonight. Again, I want to mention, talking to him, I think he felt strongly that it was going to be the night of the 61's reign. He was going to put a cap or a bow on this season. Hoser winning, I believe it is 6 or 8 wins here so far this Xfinity Series season. And it was very quick in practice, but right now Steve Whitmore out front leading as they work lap number 20. Speaking of Lane Hoser, let's take another opportunity to ride on board with the driver of the 61 as he works to complete a couple laps here at Vegas. Hoser continuing to run down Steve Whitmore lap after lap after lap, but not by a large margin, about a 1/10 a second each time. That gap now sitting right there around that 3/10 mark. Whitmore is certainly no stranger to victory lane here with OSR, specifically in the Truck Series, and tonight looking to show that he can run up here with some of the league's fastest at Vegas as they work lap number 26 here. Quarter of the way already through this championship race tonight to crown a season-long champion. 5 drivers up for grabs here for the championship, and Steve Whitmore being one of them. Ryan Pelfrey, Aaron Jackson, Lane Hoser, and Derek Grigsby all eligible. Pretty much the highest finisher wins here as we look back now. Here comes, I'll have to believe that's Ryan Pelfrey. It is. That car doesn't look so good under the lights here. But Pelfrey going to look underneath Jackson as they work through 1 and 2. So a 5-way battle for the championship, and guess what? It's basically just straight up highest finisher. And obviously our top 5 contenders, all sitting right here in the top 6. Russ to Spain, the odd man out, as Steve Whitmore gets very tight going off into 1. Hoser's going to drive underneath him and drive by. Not a good sign there. As Lane Hoser's going to retake that lead here. And Ryan Pelfrey's also going to try to squeeze by. Steve Whitmore as they work out of turn number 2. Whitmore likely heating up that right front quite a bit. We saw him really miss quarter entry. That car got extremely tight. And now Pelfrey trying to put it back together here and pick up that second place spot. Meanwhile, looking a little further back, that's Russ to Spain, Aaron Jackson. They're battling it out again. What I've noticed here is Pelfrey squeezes by Whitmore's. Most of this field still right down that Nellis backstretch. You pretty much catch everybody here, so this race is fairly tight here tonight for a small field, but a mighty one at that. And I suspect we will see a full green flag run here at this race. Pit stops, that's something to think about. They're going to have to come down pit road, I believe, right around lap number 40 to 45 in the Xfinity car. So we will certainly be seeing them come down for fuel and service at some point. Other drivers may try to stretch it all the way to 50, one stop the race, and I actually suspect that'll be most of these drivers that'll try to get right there to the number and one stop it. Lane Hoser is leading, though. Ryan Pelfrey able to squeeze by Whitmore now. Jackson and Despain, they're battling it out. That continues here. And Derek Grigsby sitting 7th. Brian Torrey and Brad Lee Brian Torrey sitting 7th and Brad Lee sitting 8th at the moment. Let's watch this battle for P4 right here off the rear bumper of Steve Whitmore. A great place to watch Despain and Jackson side by side here in Vegas. They continue to race it out here under the lights. At Las Vegas, Lane Hosler leads. Ryan Pelfrey, Steve Whitmore, your top three for OSR Xfinity action here on turn one. Quickly approaching lap number 39. And somebody's turned up the wick just a little bit. That's Ryan Pelfrey. He's sitting P2 right now and starting to close that gap with Lane Hosler. It was 0.9. Now down to 0.7 and continuing to get a little bit better. Lap over lap over lap. Pelfrey running about a tenth or just a little less than a tenth a lap quicker. And then Hosler, and we have seen these two battle it out many a time on the racetrack here. And Pelfrey has certainly shown that he's got some serious pace figured out in this Xfinity car on iRacing. He's going to work across the stripe. Let's look at the lap times. Last time by, Lane Hosler ran a 31.99. While while Ryan Pelfrey ran a 31.88. So just about a full tenth faster. And that gap now sitting just there at 0.6. It's starting to close pretty strongly here. Whitmore is settled back out into P3. Jackson and Whitmore running very similar lap times. Russ to Spain rounding out that top five. Then it's Derek Grigsby, Brian Torrey, Brad Lee is, now look at Despain, a huge charge underneath Jackson. That almost looked like Aaron may have lifted a little early or something more going on there with a 12 car. I did not expect to see Jackson lose that spot. He's going to, I don't know what may have materialized there unless Jackson got extremely tight off into 1 and 2, which is entirely possible, especially at this racetrack. You miss that corner entry, come in a little hotter than what the tires can handle. Well, this is what you're going to get. Meanwhile, back up front, Ryan Pelfrey continues to run down our leader, Lane Hosler. That gap closing into the low 0.6 of a second here at Vegas. Let's ride on board with the 12 of Aaron Jackson as he works here in 5th place to run back down Russ to Spain. Closing in on halfway here tonight in Vegas. Lane Hoser leads OSR Xfinity Series Championship race here on turn 1. Hello, everybody. I'm Sean Fitz. Thanks so much for being here. Hoser leads Ryan Pelfrey. That rundown of that 61 car is continuing. Half a second now, just right at 5/10 for Ryan Pelfrey, and we saw him really fire off strong here tonight. Actually led the first lap of the evening, and then a couple others that fell back quite a bit. But now sitting a 5/10 back behind Lane Hoser. Steve Whitmore sitting third. He's led a good handful of laps here tonight. And then Rustis Spain sitting fourth. Him and Aaron Jackson in that 12 car been battling it out nonstop all evening. And they have certainly not gotten too far away from one another as they work down the backstretch here at Vegas. Pit stops underway. Brad Lee is going to come down to the attention of his crew. And then while we were on board, Darren Grigsby came down to the service of his crew, lap number 45. Keep in mind, from a fuel run perspective, they can stop really at any point here. Hoser's going to want to run all this out as best he possibly can, but those lap times are really critical. They have now officially fallen off 2 seconds from the best lap time of the night here, both for Lane and Pelfrey. And it looks like we're going to see Pelfrey come down pit road. This will bring the 61 down. We'll have no choice but to bring the 61 down. And Ryan Pelfrey's going to hit pit road for the first time here tonight and come down to the attention of his crew. Need a flawless pit stop here. And fuel, I'm sure, coming on board for that 33 car. Back up front here, looking at Lane Hoser. We'll see if he elects to bring it down this time by. And he's going to have to, and he will. The 61's going to bring it to the attention of his crew. Right down to pit road speed. You do not want to speed here. And they get it. He gets it woed up. And he's going to bring Rustis Spain with him. Brian Torrey's also going to join him down pit road as Ryan Pelfrey makes his exit after his pit stop. Ryan very well could be right there on top of the leader if he exits here as smooth as possible. Got everything he could off the apron. We'll see how he shakes out as Steve Whitmore is going to bring it down to pit road. So will Aaron Jackson. This will wrap up pit stops as Lane pit road speed all the way down there to the flag. And he's going to unwind that car, get it all the way back up and rolling here. And keep in mind, Pelfrey, that was a perfect execution on a pit stop. Able to scream by the 61 car. And once this all cycles out here as Ryan Pelfrey comes down into 3 and 4, he is going to be deemed your leader by 1.3 seconds over Lane Hoser, and Ryan Pelfrey now officially scored the leader. Hoser last time by was significantly slower coming off pit road than Pelfrey was. And then keep in mind that gap was only about half a second, and well, Ryan was able to put down the fastest lap of the night, a 30:52 out of the 33 machine, on what is considered the lap after his out lap here. He's going to come across the stripe. He's going to put together another 30:66. Hoser is going to be able to step it up a 30:96, but still losing some time to Ryan Pelfrey. But you've got to, if you're in the head of the 33, you got to be smart here. You're past halfway, but you still have 44 laps to go, and you've got to really go into tire conservation and management mode here. He's got a 1.5 second gap now. We'll see how this all shakes out before it's said and done. Pit stops wrapped up. Darren Grigsby, by the way, he came down pit road lap 45, about 10 laps, we'll call it 8 laps before everybody else. And he has worked himself up to third place. We'll see if he's going to be able to hang on to that spot. I would say the biggest person to feel a little bit of heartburn after pit stops is Aaron Jackson. Jackson came down pit road. I think he was 4th, and he's going to come out 6th. But more importantly, he is sitting nearly 2 seconds back from Russ Spade in 4th, who he's been battling with all night long. Jackson right now, and as I say that, Jackson puts down the fastest lap of the evening so far yet again, a 30.50 for the driver of the 12 car. Jackson looking to make up a little bit of time as Whitmore just sitting right there in front of him. Both those drivers have the newest tires by a lap on track. We'll see how this all shakes out. Now, back up front, Ryan Pelfrey, 1.2 seconds now out front of Lane Hosler. We'll continue to watch this battle. Let's go right on board really quick. Let's ride on board with Steve Whitmore, as Aaron Jackson attempts to run him down here, lap number 59. Ryan Pelfrey continues to lead here at Vegas, but it's not going to be by much. Lane Hosler's ran that gap down all the way to 7/10 after a 1.5 second gap. That fight we're going to slowly catch up to. They're going to reel each other in here as we close in on 33 to go. Aaron Jackson now able to squeeze by Steve Whitmore. Aaron's been on a tear here the last couple laps. He was actually the fastest in the field last time by. He had to get around Steve Whitmore, but just ran a 30.99 again, putting down the fastest lap of the field in that 12 car. Vera Jackson moved up to 4th. Russ Spain is sitting 3rd at the moment. But those two have kind of set sail. That's Ryan Pelfrey, Lane Hosler. They have set sail on the rest of the field by about 5 seconds. And Hosler just out front. Or just trying to run down the out front man of Ryan Pelfrey. Big close there as they worked down the front stretch last time by. It's going to get even tighter. That draft going to be in effect here. Now Hosler's going to dive it into the bottom a little early. Pelfrey right down to that white line. It's going to be a 3-car gap, now a 2-car gap, down to the front stretch. Pelfrey continues to lead, but for how long? As Hosler has ran him down. As these laps continue to click off here. Both these drivers, championship contenders, and one of them, one of the 5, will walk away with the title of the Xfinity Series champion for 2025 for the Ohio Sim Racing Group. Who is it going to be? Well, we're going to be crowning somebody here in just about 30 or so laps. Running right into the tire tracks, those Hosler right there to the bottom, along with Pelfrey. Both drivers drive off the corner fairly equal. No pressure out back, although Russ Spain is starting to close that gap. He closed at 3/10 over the last 4 or 5 laps. But these two now, and this is a little bit of gamemanship, I suspect. Hosler trying to push Pelfrey to drive it fairly hard, but keep in mind, Hosler had to run Pelfrey down. Ryan had a great pit stop on and off pit road, was able to get out front by over a 1.5 seconds. Hosler had to run that gap down now on full tilt here with Pelfrey, whereas Pelfrey put down a couple quick laps, but then it seemed like really settled into a groove. So we'll see how this all shakes out with these drivers here. And who's going to be able to hang on, especially to that right front. Hosler gets a great drive off into turn 1 again. But it is a drag race down the backstretch. These two drivers go running what looks to be very identical lap times. Last time by 2/100 separate them. Let's see what it looks like here. Pelfrey's going to lead a 31.84, identical lap times for Hosler and Pelfrey. Let's ride on board with Ryan, or with Lane Hosler, as he works to find a way around this 33 car. Side-by-side battle pursuing here, continuing. As Hoser not only ran down Pelfrey, but got to the inside down the front stretch. Pelfrey looking to hold off Hoser just on that outside line, and he is going to firmly shut the door, or Pelfrey's going to shut the door on Hoser, working out of 3 and 4 as they come across the stripe. That's going to be 22 to go here at Las Vegas to put a crown on a champion for the Xfinity Series in the OSR group. That car behind him, that is Brad Lee. He just came off pit road. He took tires and fuel, and we may see him actually get up here and get by these leaders fairly quickly. He's going to run them down on the outside and just drive right around, or at least nearly right around. Oh, he's going to interfere a little bit with this battle, as he should. He is going to race and clear of Ryan Pelfrey as Hoser settles back behind Pelfrey just a little bit. Hoser going to run back right to the right back to the bumper of Pelfrey. And then that back side by side down off into 1 and 2. These two have been battling out for quite a while. Look back behind him though, Steve Whitmore. He's back there. That gap's starting to close just a little bit. Now down to just over 3 seconds to Lane Hoser. So Steve Whitmore on the move here. And the longer that Whitmore has to, the longer that Hoser continues to poke at the 33, well, that's just going to allow Whitmore to get there. But can he do it with enough time remaining to get by him? And does he have the Goodyear tire to be able to get it done as well? Hoser able to get up underneath Pelfrey. Pelfrey almost got shoved down into the corner a little bit here. Hoser not able to get by him, and it's going to slide back to that left rear quarter panel. Back down here into 3 and 4. Pelfrey taking the very bottom of the racetrack, does not want to let that line up. Rolls off the quarter. And then going to take it all the way down to the apron here to get as much of the straight line speed he possibly can. Off into 3 and 4. These drivers been battling side by side here for about 10 to 15 laps. And guess what? We have 16 to go here tonight at Las Vegas for the Ohio Sim Racing Xfinity Series right here on turn 1. Oh, Pelfrey gets big loose off the corner. That is a masterful save there. Did not lose any ground. What a wild move out of the 33. Oh, he's going to move up. He nearly makes contact with Hoser. Pelfrey hanging off for all he's got. Hoser's able to squeeze by now, and he is actually going to drive away by 3 car lengths. What an impressive save by Pelfrey, and tried to stay in it here now. Electing to sit back a little bit, maybe cool the tires down on that 33 for one more big push. Hoser's going to take the lead here as they come across the stripe. That'll be 14 to go. Taking a little look a little further back, Steve Whitmore has not been able to run that gap down any more than about 3 seconds. Aaron Jackson sitting 4th. Russ Spade is 5th. Derek Grigsby has got Brian Torrey right in the rear view mirror. That is for 6th and 7th here. And let's do this. We know Pelfrey is Going to be trying to take care of that right front here. Maybe have another stab at it with 3 or 4 to go. Let's ride on board with the 33 for what could be the final time here for this Xfinity Series season on turn 1. As they come back down the front stretch with 7 laps to go. Lane Hosler now out front, 0.8 of a second. And riding on board with Pelfrey there, you heard that tire scrub pretty hard on that right front. Now Pelfrey actually going up to the high line here at Vegas to try to find a little bit more pace to close out the night. He is going to need what looks like a pretty strong right front tire to get up there and run with Hosler. As Pelfrey really sends it in there into 3 and 4. Going to actually lose another 10th there in that move as Hosler just now is on cruise control. And this is the 61 style of racing. We've seen it all season long, just minding his P's and Q's, able to take care of it, that right front tire fairly decently. Again, brought home 5 wins here to this season, 10 top 10 or 10 top 5s, 13 top 10s for Hosler. And you know, it really looked like this was going to be his season. And right now, all he's got to do is complete 5 more laps. And he'll be the winner here and champion of the Ohio Sim Racing Xfinity Series on turn 1. Steve Whitmore continues to run P3. Aaron Jackson looking to run him down just a little bit. As I say that, Jackson gets tight. Gets into the wall there. That is for 4th. Despain sitting 5th. Brian Torrey, Derek Grigsby, and Brad Lee round out the field here. Hosler comes off the corner. Again, this is going to be to 4 to go right there. all the way through 1 and 2 here and under the lights at Vegas. This track looking great at night on the iRacing service. And then he's going to unwind it down the backstretch. Right off through the corner there. And he's going to see the 3 to go signal from the flagman. All the way back down through the last lap, coming across the stripe. That's the white flag one more time around for Lane Holzer to wrap up a fantastic season here on turn 1 for OSR Xfinity action. Down the backstretch. Ryan Pelfrey is not going to have anything for him. 13 top 10s, 10 top 5s, and now make it 6 wins on the season. Lane Holzer is your winner and champion in Vegas. Ryan Pelfrey's gonna finish P2. Steve Whitmore, Aaron Jackson, Russ to Spain, your top 5. Brian Torrey, Derek Grigsby, and Brad Lee round out the remainder of the field. And what was a strong season here on turn 1 for the OSR group. We're going to step aside, do a quick little bit of post-race talk to Lane, and then we'll call it wraps for the OSR Xfinity season. You're watching turn 1. Gonna park it right there at the start-finish line. Lane Holzer's gonna win here tonight at Vegas, wrapping up the OSR Xfinity Series season on turn 1. Looks like we've got a full crew here. We'll quickly talk to Ryan Pelfrey. Ryan, congratulations, P2. Not the finish I think you wanted in that 33, but looked fairly strong all night long.
Yeah, at the end of the year, it wasn't what you wanted, but it was still fun racing with Lane there. Couldn't tell if I pushed too hard after the pit stops or what. But when he got up to me, I probably pushed too hard even then. So I did what I could to hold him off, and then I had no right rear and just had nothing to fight with. So congrats to Lane. He was fast all year and he earned it.
Yeah, Ryan, we saw you come off of pit road, had almost a flawless execution, at least from what we could tell. Came out about a second and a half up. We know that those new tires were certainly going to be a factor. They quickly put up the fastest lap of the race right there on that second lap out. Anything, obviously, you should have done or thought about done a little differently here? It sounds like trying to maybe save a little bit more, but in what way could you have really done that, or would you have maybe stayed out a little bit longer, took tires later? What would, in hindsight, would you have done differently there?
I probably should have pitted earlier. The really only benefit I have over Lane is late run, even though we kind of just stalemated at half a second there in the end of that run. But if I would have pitted as early as possible to make it, it might have put some more pressure on him. And then those first 5 laps, I ran pretty hard and harder than I probably needed to. I was caught in between of riding and saving or making him chase me down. And I think his line through 1 and 2 was faster and easier on the tires because he was a little bit higher than I was. So I had to be more patient on the bottom. So if I didn't hit it perfectly, he would pick up a tenth or two each corner there. And then I had 2 or 3 bad laps in a row. And once he got there, it was kind of like, well, I just got to go and try and aero block as best I can and fight him off as hard as I could.
Well, Ryan, still a banner season for the 33. Congratulations on a solid run here, and thanks for taking the time with us this evening.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate you coming out and doing this. I know the car count hasn't been the greatest lately, but I appreciate you doing what Turn 1 does for us. So I'd like to thank Steve and OSR and the guys for sticking it out for the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, Ryan. Thank you for the time. We'll quickly hop over to Lane Hoser, again the winner here tonight and champion of the Xfinity Series. Lane, congratulations. Makes this 6 wins on the season and a really strong result across the board. It's got to feel good to be able to come in here and capitalize on the success you found all season long, but it didn't look like it was going to be handed to you very easily tonight in Vegas.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It definitely was not easy at all. I think early in that first run, I thought it was going to be a repeat of last week where I would be pretty quick at the beginning of the run, and then every time Ryan would just slowly start chipping away at it. I fully expected him to be really, really fast all the way to the end of the race, and I think coming out of the pits, I definitely tried to save as much as I could and just try to run as smooth of a line as I could, and I think that ended up paying off. And then I think Ryan started to get a little bit loose a couple of times and finally was able to take advantage of that and kind of get to his outside. I knew I wasn't going to be able to clear him on the inside unless I threw some crazy slider. So yeah, I just once I was able to get to his outside, I kind of knew I had a pretty good shot at it. And then I got tight, he got loose, and I think we both almost ended up wrecking. I fully thought that Steve was going to come up and steal the win from us. So,
yeah, it looked like Ryan he went deep to the inside there, and when he came back up, he wasn't really that far away from you, and I wasn't quite sure what had materialized there. That was certainly a unique situation you guys ended up in. I know we've seen all the likes of the Richard Luckies of this space, and of course you've put down some impressive runs over the many seasons I've been watching you race. If you could share one thing, obviously backing up corners, everybody says that, but what's about this car that you've got figured out to be able to especially keep that right front on it over these longer green flag runs over everybody else?
I think I like the Xfinity car a little bit more just because you can drive it a little bit more off the right rear. I think a lot of times it's like the truck, the right front ends up being what you have to be cognizant of, and with the Xfinity car you can really kind of almost let it hang out, but not, as long as you keep it under a decent amount of control. It's pretty smooth and does a pretty good job.
Well, able to wheel that 61 to a great season here with OSR, bring home the season finale checker flag and the championship trophy. Lane Hoser finishes tonight your winner at Vegas. Lane, thank you for the time, and as always, great work there out on the track.
Thank you for broadcasting. Like Ryan said, I know the car count's been a little bit down, but we try to put on a good show, and like to thank definitely Steve and Britt for throwing the season together. It It's a lot of fun running with these guys. I look forward to do it some more.
Lane Hoser, your champion and winner here tonight in Vegas. Lane, we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll wrap up race coverage here with the OSR Xfinity Series. I would say head on over to OhioSimRacing.com. They have announced a new season and a winter series that looks really interesting with, I believe, some street stocks or late model stocks. Either way, you're not going to want to miss out on that. And then, obviously, on Turn 1, we will continue to have races all throughout the next couple weeks, including... the first time I'm mentioning this, the Sim 500 Limited Series that will kick off next Thursday night right here on Turn 1. So Thursday night action rolls on here with the T1 group. I appreciate everybody for tuning in on behalf of the league admins and my friends at OSR. It's always been a pleasure calling their races, and this is no different, and it is a privilege to be able to see some of the fast guys on track perform a clean, fun racing. But I appreciate them. But on behalf of the league admins and everybody over here at Turn 1, I'm Sean Fitz. We'll see you real soon for more racing action. Bye-bye, everybody.